The podcast you are about to listen to is one of the many podcasts that is part of the College Huddle, the largest fan-led college sports podcast community on the internet. Fan-made, fan-driven, and fan-fueled. The College Huddle.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free!
Okay, next question.
I'm a horse football coach right now.
You know, it got shoved up, shoved it up. It got shoved, right?
What is up, Spartan fans? It is Willy and Travis coming to you with episode 29 of the Spartans Savants podcast. We are down our third musketeer, Nikki, as he prepares for his big wedding this weekend. Wishing him all the best. Travis and I will pick up the duties this week. Travis, how we doing?
Man, living the dream of a 1-0 fan here, Willie. Just enjoying the grind of football season.
I hear you.
And hoping we don't have to stress through that wedding.
Yeah, no kidding. Of course, that game is going to be kicking off like right around when things are going to get started a little bit. Should be able to catch most of it, I think, before the tough part's going to be if it's a close game and all of a sudden the wedding has to start with like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I mean, we should be able to see most of it. I think there's like a 2.5 hour difference. So yeah,
should be all right. So before we get into that, we're going to obviously preview the Maryland game, the Big Ten opener for Michigan State. I want to we'll get into some other national college football stuff. Of course, miss the Vis and the picks. But before we get into all that, I want to circle back on the the FAU game. We've had some time to digest things a little bit here. Obviously, we had our quick recap that came out Sunday. But with some extra time to digest things, some more news coming out in terms of injuries and things like that. Wanted to check in again, Travis, see where we're at. Obviously, if you want to touch on the injuries, feel free. But I just want to check in, see where the head's at a couple days removed from the 16-10 win at home versus Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, it's not changed much, I would say. I mean, we covered I'd say the reaction that we had Sunday morning when we recorded, all the, at least from my side, all the anger and everything had kind of dissipated a little bit. But we, like we said, it wasn't a great game from the offense. Wanted to see a lot more, especially from Childs. Hopefully that gets fixed going forward. Defense played great, was flying around on the field. Looked like, dare I say, the no-fly zone, but, careful with that competition. And then the offensive line played decent, and I thought they got better as the game went on. And our run defense was pretty good. So that being said, those injuries you alluded to, we got 3 guys that are basically out for the season, with Dylan Tatum and Khalil Majid on the defense, both out for the season, and Alante Brown on offense trying to come back in November, apparently. Brown, I'll start with, is probably the biggest speedster we had on offense. And, it's not like guys can't pick up that slack a little bit, but he was hoping to kind of turn the corner from all the turnovers he had last year. And I don't think he played very badly in the opener. I thought he played pretty well. Tatum was finally playing the position that he was supposed to be playing back at safety, and I thought he played well. So that one, I was looking forward to seeing a good season from him, a full season from him at his true position. And then Majid, I wrote down that he's a guy that's outplayed his status. Like, he was just this backup who had to be thrown into the fire last year, and now he's playing meaningful snaps and was part of the rotation at opening night. So, like we said in past episodes, some good, some bad. Most of the injury news is pretty bad, so we'll see how it affects us going forward.
Yeah, it's always tough with the injuries, especially week one, to lose two impactful players in Tatum and Alante Brown. It's tough, especially on the offensive side. Both sides of the ball really are impacted, with offensive side seeming to be lacking a bit of playmaking ability, especially at the receiver position, and then a defensive backfield losing a safety that I think they'll be all right as is. But the depth certainly is weakened there. Going to be probably some true freshmen that see playing time in terms if there's more injuries that come, or they're certainly going to start to get reps throughout the week at practice. I feel for Jalen Tatum. Obviously, like you said, he's just kind of getting into the position that he was supposed to play. We saw some strides last year. Sucks to lose him for the entire year. It's a real bummer. And then Brown too, who was showing some signs week one of at least being helpful
capable for once.
Special teams. So it's too bad. I'm kind of with you. My stance hasn't changed too much. I'll say I've cooled down a little bit. Willing to give the offense a bit of benefit of the doubt for week one jitters, things like that. I think when it comes to Aiden Childs, there's a lot of pressure on him just coming in terms of pressure from the fan base, and obviously not so much from the coaching staff or internally, given that the spot's his and he's got quite a long leash. But there's got to be pressure put on himself, knowing that there's high expectations and what the fans are hoping for him as he takes over the quarterback role. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was a sloppy game from him. He didn't look completely comfortable. I wouldn't say he was forcing passes, but some of those deep balls just guys weren't even open. It kind of looked like most of them were out of bounds. They weren't really catchable.
Right.
The one deep ball I thought that it was catchable. Montori Foster dropped and ended up getting intercepted. Throwing on the run just didn't really set his feet.
The accuracy was off. Yeah.
Just looked a little rushed at times, I thought. I think we got to get Velling more involved. I think he only had 1 or 2 receptions last week. I'd like to see them work the middle of the field with the tight ends a little bit more. Outside of that, tight end play, actually Parachek and who's the other guy I'm thinking of?
Masunis.
Yes, Masunis had some nice catches as well. So I think that there's lots to improve on, but I think there were some signs of some bright signs at least. Obviously, K'Ron Lynch-Adams had a great game. The offensive line, was hit or miss. I thought, that's going to be the case. Look, every run play is not going to go for 7 to 8 yards. There's going to be losses. There's going to be plays where, their defense beats our offense and vice versa. So, definitely lots to clean up, but definitely some bright spots to take in as we head into Maryland for the Big Ten opener. The injuries, again, really tough. At receiver, I think that's a position that even without the Alante Brown injury, I think that they need to start cycling some more guys in and out. We knew that position was going to be a question mark coming in. And it seems so far that
it still
was warranted. Want to see more Nick Marsh, and I think that I'm hoping that they were kind of hiding him a little bit for this game because
me too.
The one catch he made that I can recall was a great catch. I'm not sure how many targets he got outside of that or what his usage was. But hopefully they were hiding him and they plan to kind of let him go this week because we're certainly going to need it on the road against a formidable Big Ten opponent. So with that, I think probably just time to jump into the Maryland preview here. I was just perusing online. The spread was 8.5 just before we started recording. It's now moved to 9. Obviously Maryland's favored.
Moved in the last 15 minutes.
It has moved to 9. Oh no, it's yep. Oh no, I'm sorry, I lied. It opened at 9. It's moved to 8.5. Still at 8.5. Over under is 43.5. So just give me quick thoughts here on this Maryland team. I have admittedly didn't watch their game last week. I know they're coming off a pretty convincing win against UConn. They won 50-7. Just give me your kind of quick takes here on the Maryland team and what you're expecting.
Yeah, I tried to do some scouting, but the YouTube TV multi-view was not cooperating with me. So I saw a few possessions, but not a lot. They did go with Billy Edwards as the starting quarterback. We were not sure on that point the last time we discussed Maryland. He ended up throwing for 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, 20 of 27. Their other quarterbacks only threw 10 passes in the entire game. So, the game was in hand. They pulled them from the game. Their receivers were really good. Ty Felton still there, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns. Caden Prather, another big guy at 6'3", 210, had a pretty good game. Their running backs their top 2 running backs each scored a touchdown. So they're not a bad team. I've never been a big Billy Edwards guy, so I don't really know what to make of him playing that well against UConn, because it's UConn. You can probably count the number of accomplishments that program has on the one hand.
Right.
It's like Jim Mora Jr. coming in there, Donald Brown that one season, and then I don't know, Byron Jones and Dan Orlovsky. That's as far as you can go. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up with 2 Big Ten opponents. And it'll be interesting to see, especially with those injuries in the secondary, how our secondary stacks up against those big-bodied receivers, because they definitely have the type of guys that, if in the FAU game, that one guy was getting loose late. So if we end up giving those guys that kind of space, they're gonna tear us apart in the secondary. So we got to be ready for that. And then obviously the offense has to execute. Maryland defense still gave up over 300 yards of offense last week, so it's not like they're world beaters or anything, but we gotta come to play, especially on the road.
Yeah, I would agree. I just looking at the stats here. Again, I don't know UConn, how they would stack up against FAU or really any team, right, even, but Billy Edwards Jr., really efficient game. 20 for 27 for a completion percentage of just under 75%, averaged 11.5 yards per completion with a long of 75 yards. You mentioned 2 TDs, no interceptions. So really efficient game from him. And then, the one receiver that you mentioned, Felton, 7 receptions, almost 180 yards, averaging 25 yards per reception there, with 2 TDs as well. So the defense certainly is going to have their hands full. And, the rushing was pretty well spread out. They had about 28 carries between 3 running backs.
Yeah,
that all
pretty good.
Averaged at least 5 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
Hemby had 14 carries for 66 yards. Ray had 6 carries for 60 yards, but one of those being a 48-yard rush. Both of them netted touchdowns as well. So yeah, the defense is gonna have their hands full. I'm with you. Gonna look to the secondary there, but also I think you got to look to the defensive line and linebackers as well to get some pressure on the quarterback. Obviously, it looks like to me, just based on the stats, that Edwards Jr. had a pretty comfortable game. I definitely look to the linebackers defensive line to create some pressure, make him a little uncomfortable, hopefully force some throws that maybe he didn't have to in week 1. And that was something that they did a very good job of on Friday last week.
Yes, it was.
They had pressure on the quarterback all night. Certainly when he wanted to throw, they didn't make it easy on him. So the defense is going to have their hands full. And I think when on the offensive side, executing, like you said, but more so executing in the red zone. Can't make 4 trips to the red. Yeah, can't do that again. If we get in the red zone 4 times, you got to score all 4 times, and 3 out of 4 need to be touchdowns. In my opinion, I think that given the over under of 43.5, it's going to be one of those 24-20 type games. If Vegas knows their stuff like we think they do. Yeah. So I think that not turning the ball over. We had 2 turnovers last week, maybe 3 with a fumble, 2 interceptions from Childs. So I think that's cleaning some things up and just executing and taking advantage of red zone opportunities. I think they'll put this team right in the game where they need to be come the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I think defensively also this is going to be our biggest. Obviously, it's only the second game, but it's going to be our biggest challenge with, in terms of a run game so far, in terms of line of scrimmage. So they did a great job dominating up front last week, but now it's a Big Ten offensive line. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we kind of hit all the keys to victory. I mean, the pressure on the quarterback, executing on offense, scoring in the red zone. Yeah.
Defense keep us in the game, scoring.
Yeah.
Come as it can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Mike Locksley offense, they like to throw the ball, at least in years past. Even looking at their game versus Connecticut here, they threw the ball 37 times. Looks like they have 46 rush attempts. Some of those with the quarterbacks. Some of them with receivers as well. So pretty even split there. Yeah, I was going to say probably running the ball quite a bit late in the game.
7 games,
Yeah. So even for a 57 game to throw the ball 37 times is quite a bit. So, that defensive backfield is certainly going to be tested. Hopefully in any game, this will be true, but hopefully create some turnovers on the by pressuring the quarterback and making him force some throws. But that Felton, a receiver, certainly seems like he's going to be an issue.
He has been in years past too.
Yeah,
he's been there a while.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and that's one thing too. Maryland has had Michigan State's number the past 2 years. It's certainly time for the Spartans to get right game in the Big Ten. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they always have those big receivers that give us trouble, especially with those Hazleton defenses.
Yeah.
So, see, it's on Joe Rossi now.
Yeah, pressure's on Joe Rossi this week for sure.
Make the big bucks, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you had to pick one thing, Travis, that you are, I don't know, like focusing on or one thing that you think is going to, okay, give me one thing that you're looking for, the one thing that you're most interested to see, and then one other thing that you think is the biggest key to victory. So one thing that you are most intrigued by or most looking forward to, and then one thing that you think is the biggest key to victory for us on Saturday.
Yeah, so you kind of alluded to all of that earlier, but the what I'm looking forward to is or intrigued by is the receiver rotation. See how that shakes out with Alante Brown out. See not only who the number 6 guy is, but who's in 5, who's start. I would imagine Nick Marsh gets a start, but who knows? And then the biggest key I would say is it sounds kind of cliche, but it's just don't overlook the opponent. Like it's a Big Ten opponent. Play physically. Play physically up front. And it's really 2 of them. Play physically up front. And then actually execute on offense. The plays were there last week, like we've said.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to hit those, and we'll be fine, or should be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, biggest thing I'm looking for is Aiden Childs bounce back. I think a lot of people focused on him last week, and certainly me as well. And I'm going to keep my focus there for this week. I think I saw enough from the defense to be pretty pleased with what I saw. Obviously, the offense runs through Childs, and there was certainly some shortcomings there. I think for him, it's a bounce back game in terms of you've got the first game jitters out. You're on the road, so there's a little more pressure on the road, but a little less pressure in terms of expectations and things like that. I think he just needs to relax, focus on executing. Making smart reads, making the right calls, and putting his players in position to succeed. I think key to victory for me is this scoring in the red zone. I think with 4 red zone opportunities last week and only coming away with points in 1, that game looks a lot different if we score two touchdowns.
Yes,
out of those, it's certainly I think we would all feel a lot better as a fan base. So to me, I think that's going to be the biggest key. I think the defense will play good enough to keep the score close, and then it's going to be up to the offense to execute and take advantage of the opportunities that they get.
They got to sustain drives too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing. You want to keep that Maryland offense off the field as much as possible. And that could be true for most games. But, when you're looking at a quarterback that just went 20 for 27 with 2 TDs and no interceptions, and a receiver that just, has 176 yards and 2 TDs as well, that's certainly something you want to be aware of and keep those guys off the field as much as you can. I think another thing to look out for, we talk about sustaining drives, is how the carries, the number of carries get spread between Lynch Adams and
Nate Carter.
Nate Carter. Yeah. I think coming into last week, we're all pretty under the understanding that it was Nate Carter, running back 1, Lynch Adams, number 2, and the carries certainly shaked out that way. But I think as we got later in the game, we were all wondering, why is the ball where's number 15? Why is the ball in his hands? So it'll be interesting to see. My guess is that they probably skew closer to 50-50. But it wouldn't be surprised if K'Ron Lynch Adams ekes out a few more carries this week.
Yeah, he was running much better there. 2 different running styles there. I think Carter was a little more laid back, and Lynch Adams was kind of like the I'm going to hammer you. I'm going to put my shoulder down, and we're just going to keep going, and I'm going to take you for a ride. That kind of
thing. Yeah. That was he was impressive, and I'm not surprised given his stats from last year. Obviously, in a lesser conference, but if he is what we saw last week, more weeks than not, they've definitely going to give the coaches something to think about in terms of who gets the most carries.
Yeah, I mean, I said this before the season. I mean, if you're running for 1,000 yards on the UMass's offense, you're a pretty damn good running back.
I was going to say it'd be hard for me to run for 1,000 yards against air, so that's it's pretty impressive. That's all I have for Maryland. Any additional thoughts before we move on here?
I had one thing that came up when you mentioned Felton again. We can't focus on just him and then let somebody else beat our ass.
Yeah.
That is nightmare scenario for me. You gotta have them prepared for that. And with Joe Rossi's background and with Jonathan Smith's background, I think they will. But it's something I felt like needed to be said.
Yeah, no question. I mean, like we said, the defense is going to have their hands full, especially the defensive backfield. We know Maryland likes to pass the ball, given our history with Loxley the past couple of years. We've seen what they can do, even in the 2021 year. They gave us a good run by throwing the ball all over the place. So that's definitely going to be something that coach staff has to prepare for. And if we can stop that, I really trust our defensive linemen and linebackers to stop the run. And I think the defense, like I said, I don't know if I think they'll give up more than 6 points, but I think defense is going to play well enough to put us in a position to, if the offense executes, to be in the game.
Yep. Like I said, defense is going to carry it. Offense just has to, game manage, I guess is a good way to put it.
That's right. We'll obviously get
to Alex Smith's.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We'll obviously get to the predictions of that game at the end of the show here. Just wanted to get into some national college football stuff. Obviously, week 1 coming to an end. Some good games. USC LSU was a good game. Notre Dame A&M was a good game, but almost no upsets. I guess USC LSU would be an upset. But a little underwhelming in terms of at least upsets. And I know my picks were almost all wrong. I picked a few upsets there, but anything you're surprised by after the first week of the season?
There's a few things. Yeah. Oh, biggest. I mean, I don't know if
you can list off a few.
Biggest surprise. I'll just list off a few. Yeah. I mean, I think we're all a little surprised, at least with how Florida State's going right now. No one really. I mean, it wasn't a guarantee they were going to be 2-0, obviously, but no one really expected them to be 0-2 at this point and falling out of the rankings. And I don't think anybody expected DJU to be playing as badly as he was, even though he's had his good moments, he's had his bad moments, and it was a lot of bad moments for the second half of his Clemson career, and then Jonathan Smith got him going again at Oregon State last year. So I think a lot of people expected him to pick things up there, but he's not the only one. I mean, if you're saying that one player is the only problem on a team, that's kind of lazy analysis. Their defense hasn't been playing as well as it should have. They played a little bit better in the second half, but I mean, they gave up 260 rushing yards to Boston College. Like Castellanos only threw for 106 yards, and they just, I mean, Boston College absolutely annihilated them in the trenches. It was crazy, and it got me a little worried just from the naked eye about when we're playing Boston College.
Absolutely.
But looking deeper at the stats, I was like, okay, it wasn't that bad. It was just
right.
Florida State might not be good like we thought they would. And on the other side of that is Boston College surprise team of the week, just rolling into Tallahassee and coming out with that win.
Yeah,
O'Brien,
pretty easily.
It wasn't very close. They were just rolling. I mean, I saw Matt Ryan was loving it with his tweeting up a storm, loving it and everything. And then a couple other things I had. SEC offenses, like we know SEC is known for defense. They had 6 teams score. I know they're playing the shitty teams, obviously, but they had 6 teams score at least 50 points last week. 4 of them scored over 60, and 2 of them scored 70. So it's like, oh shit, this conference is pretty damn good. I mean, we knew that already, but then they're also in the SEC. Maybe South Carolina's terrible. They were pretty close with the Old Dominion. Usually don't see that. Houston with the loss to I forget who it was. Was it Sam? No. Was it Sam Houston? No, I can't remember who it was. But Houston with a loss to an very much inferior team. And Willie Fritz's debut, not good sign in the Big 12 there.
Yeah.
And then the USC, I admittedly was in and out of that game, but I expected LSU to win that one pretty easily. And the fact that USC came away with that surprised me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Houston's loss was to UNLV. Ricky White. Yes. I'm right there with you. Florida State. More so DJU. I mean, Florida State, they lost a lot. And I think it was always going to be tough replacing Jordan Travis. I think my biggest knee-jerk reaction to that is how John Smith and staff won 8 games last year with DJU. I think it shows that their 4 losses were probably to ranked teams that were better than them. Thinking like Oregon, Washington.
Yeah, I think that. I think they had some close losses in that. Almost upset Washington, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was a close game. So that's surprising to me. I think I was surprised to see USC come out on top against LSU. The other thing I had was Clemson. I thought Georgia would beat them. I picked Georgia to cover that game. It's one of the only games I won last week. But I thought it would be close to that. I mean, Clemson, I think we're watching the game just pass Dabo Swinney by completely. And I think it's telling when he went to Alabama and he's won 2 national championships at Clemson, and Alabama didn't even bother interviewing him or bringing him in or considering him for that job. Which is a pretty telling sign when you've had success and that's your alma mater. A few years ago, everyone would have picked him to take over for Nick Saban. So that was a couple of my surprises. I think you pretty much covered
everything. Yeah,
covered it all there.
Yeah. Dabo and Clemson are falling off a cliff for sure.
Yeah, it's I think he's going to be.
It's so weird to see. I didn't expect it to be hit this hard.
Yeah, if he doesn't win the ACC this year, I mean,
it's not a good.
I don't know if that's going to be he's just digging his heels in the ground on not using the transfer portal. I don't know where that stands with the Clemson administration, but the boosters can't be happy, the fans can't be happy.
Yeah.
So if that's the hill he wants to die on, I think he very well may just do that. What's the game you were looking forward to the most this week?
Yeah. Selfishly, I'm looking forward to that Texas-Michigan game because if you watched both those teams, oh boy, are the Wolverines in trouble.
Yeah.
That is going to be an amazing show for everybody except for those in blue and yellow. I covered the Texas game last week against Colorado State. They looked freaking fantastic. Not a Texas fan by any means, but I will acknowledge when a team looks good, and damn it, they looked good. That offense is clicking on all cylinders. Replaced all their receivers and their tight end. And I mean, I know it was Colorado State, but it looked like they didn't miss a beat at all. And their defense held Colorado State under 200 yards. And Michigan struggled for the most part with Fresno State. So I'm selfishly looking ahead to that just ass beating that the Wolverines are going to get. But also, and it's also only one of 2 ranked games this week, so it's not a great slate. BYU and SMU, my other alma mater. We got a Friday night matchup here in Dallas with the Cougars from the Big 12 coming in, and so that'll be their first Power 5 opponent of the season, I believe. Because Nevada's not Power 5. And then elsewhere in Texas, you got the battle for I-35 with UTSA coming off a couple 9-win seasons, taking on Texas State, set a program record for wins last year.
Nice.
So that'll be an interesting matchup there between the American and the Sun Belt.
Nice. Yeah, all good games there. I think I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't looking forward to Texas at Michigan the most. I mean, I'm right there with you. I think if Michigan plays like they did Saturday, they're going to get blown out at home. So who knows what we'll get there. The defense looks like it's all it was cracked up to be. But the offense looks like it's going to struggle this year. Similar, they kind of looked just like Michigan State outside of the fact they put up 30 points, but
they got a late pick 6.
Yeah. So definitely got my eyes on that one. The other one I got circled is Iowa at Iowa State. I'm sorry, Iowa State at Iowa. A good rivalry, a good in-state rivalry. Iowa coming off a 40-point, scored 40 points in the first game. I think it was against Illinois State. So I'm interested to see how that offense stacks up against the Power 5 or Power 4 school. I know I always like enjoying state rivalries. The other ranked matchup we have this week is Tennessee at NC State. NC State coming off a ugly win. They righted the ship a little bit towards the end there.
It was against, a slow start.
Was it like Northern Tennessee or Western Carolina? Yeah, it was a directional school. So yeah, that's what I got circled. Obviously, I think all eyes will be on Ann Arbor for Texas at Michigan noon on Saturday. So with that, I want to move into Miss the Vis for this week. Everyone knows what time it is there. It's everyone's favorite segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Miss the Vis.
That music gets me every time. So for this week's Miss the Vis, I want to provide a little context. So this past Saturday, or so far for this 2024 season, 113 FBS players have recorded an interception in one game. 54 players have recorded 10-plus tackles in one game. 10 FBS players have recorded 8-plus solo tackles in one game. Only one has done all 3 in one game, and that is, of course, Michigan State's Angelo Gross.
Damn it, I was hoping that was the question.
So with that somewhat, I'll say record-breaking, but strong performance, I wanted to look at some of the Michigan State records. I've got it broken up into 2 segments here. So one will be season records, and then it'll be career records. So I will give you the records, so like passing TDs, and then you give me the player. So the first one we'll do is season record. This first 7 are season records. Passing TDs in a season.
Jeez, I don't know these off the top of my head, so this is a tough category.
If you need a clue, I can give you the year.
I think I know it, but I might need the year here.
2021.
Yeah, okay, Peyton Thorne. That's what.
All right.
I couldn't remember if he set the record or if he was coming up on the record.
He did set the record. All right, rushing TDs.
Cedric Irvin?
Would be Javon Ringer in 2008 with 22.
I didn't realize you broke it. Okay.
Rushing yards.
That's got to be Irvin.
That is Lorenzo White.
Oh my gosh. I'm mixing them up. That's what it is.
2066 in 1985.
Yeah.
That's a lot of rushing yards.
Well, yeah. He totally left my mind. To be honest.
That's all right. Passing yards, single season.
You got a year? I'm gonna need
2003.
I feel like that has to be Drew Stanton.
It is Jeff Smoke.
Yeah, it was okay. I couldn't remember if he had left by then.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Receiving TDs.
This is going so terribly.
You're right. 2 out of 4.
Oh.
Receiving TDs. Let's be 2001.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That confirms it. Charles Rogers.
All right, there you go.
That was
3 for 5. Receptions.
I feel like that's too easy of an answer. So give me the year.
2015.
Okay. Tony Lippett?
Aaron Burbridge.
It was Burbridge. Okay.
85.
Flip a coin on that one.
Yeah. Tough one here. Total offensive yards. 2019.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
The Brian Lewerke, 3,442.
Yeah, this is not good.
All right. Now moving into career.
Anyone is free to call my fandom into question after this.
No, these are tough. Passing TDs for a career.
For a career. Are there any clues for these ones?
I feel like if I give you the years, it'll be too easy.
Yeah, that's why I said, are there any? Yeah.
The record is 71. Fairly recent.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is it Connor Cook?
It is Connor Cook.
Yeah, okay. That was gonna be my initial guess, but yeah.
All right. Rushing TDs.
Okay, let's see. Who scored a lot of touchdowns? What the hell? I don't know it. I'm gonna go with TJ Duckett.
Lorenzo White.
Okay. Yeah. All these ones that are before I was born, I'm like, yeah,
it's tough.
Shit.
Yeah.
I know I've heard stuff about him, but I didn't.
Rushing yards.
I'm just gonna give it Lorenzo White.
There you go. Good guess. Sorry. Passing yards. Also fairly recent.
Okay. This is single season? Or no, it's career.
This is career.
Career. Okay. I would say Connor Cook again.
That is correct.
Yeah. It's the only fairly recent one that had a decent career passing yards. Yeah. Some of them had seasons.
Receiving TDs.
Gotta be Charles Rogers.
That is correct. 27. Yeah. Total offensive yards.
Who do I feel like wasting a guess on here?
Quarterback.
The quarterback. Drew Stanton.
That's a good guess. It was Brian Lewerke again.
Oh my gosh. I didn't think that he
9,548 total yards. Yeah.
3 years of start. Yeah.
Yep.
Points on that one.
Total points scored. Fairly recent player.
Fairly recent player, huh? Well, that ruins my guess.
Played for a long time.
Played for a long time. Fairly recent. Played for a long time. Is it Geiger?
Matt Coughlin.
It's Coughlin.
Okay,
Okay, I knew it was one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
My initial guess was going to be Morton Anderson because he had that for a long time.
He did for a very long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. I think Coughlin broke it in one of his last games.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which one of them broke it. Yeah.
Yep. All right, bonus one here. Career interceptions for a quarterback.
Oh, for a court, like thrown interceptions.
Yep, thrown interceptions.
How many is it?
39.
Ooh. I have a lot of guesses here. But no, he couldn't have. He didn't start that many games, so he couldn't have been it. Bill Burke.
Jeff Smoker.
Yeah, it was Smoker. Okay.
Yep.
I almost went with his backup, Damon Dowdell, because I remembered so shitty plays.
Damon Dowdell, it's a good one. So not the worst show. I'll be honest, I thought you would do better on this one. Just given your knowledge,
I don't know them. I don't know them off the top of my head anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you did all right though.
No, I didn't.
6 out of 15.
Someone take my fan
That's
card.
not too
I'm
bad.
done.
No, that's all right.
Oh,
Just gotta study up. Okay, I think that brings us into the picks for week 2.
alrighty.
All right, so we've got a solid slate of 12 games this week. Right now, Travis and Nick are tied at 6-6, or I'm sorry, that's not right. 8-8
I
after
have,
the.
yeah, I have
you got it.
the pit. Yeah, give me a second. I gotta find it now. Never mind. We'll get to it next week. Yeah.
No problem. Travis and Nick are tied at 8-8. I am trailing behind at 5-11. Travis and Nick both went 6-6 last week. I struggled with a 3-9 record. So the first game we have, there we go. You can see 8-8, and I'm falling quite behind here at 5-11. So the first game this week, we're going to go to Ann Arbor for that big matchup. Number 3, Texas travels to the Big House, favored by 7.5 to take on the Wolverines, who are ranked number 10. Again, that is Texas at Michigan. Texas favored by 7.5.
I feel like this one's too easy. Hook 'em.
I have got Texas as well. I've got Nicky's picks. He is taking Michigan.
When does he do that?
I know, surprising. Moving along here, our next game, the Arkansas Razorbacks traveling to Oklahoma State to take on the Cowboys. 16th ranked Oklahoma State favored also by 7.5 in this game.
Yeah, I'll ride with the Cowboys. Arkansas was impressive last week, but you got to do more than Pine Bluff.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm going to ride with Oklahoma State as well. Nikki is taking Arkansas in this one. The next one we have 17th ranked Kansas State travels to Tulane to take on the Green Hurricane or the
Green Wave?
Green Wave. That's
Green
right.
Wave.
Green
Yeah.
Hurricane. I don't know. I can't remember. The Green Wave. Kansas State favored by 10 on the road.
Yeah. Tulsa's the Golden Hurricane, so that's where that came from.
Mix up.
What'd you say the line was? Sorry.
10.
10. Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, it's not the same Tulane team that you used to see. Fritz is gone.
Kansas State?
Quarterback. Yeah, I'll take Kansas State.
Nikki took Kansas State as well. I'm going to take Tulane to cover the spread. Hopefully they can pick me up a win there. Now we're going to one of my favorite games of the week. The Iowa State Cyclones travel to Kinnick to take on the 21st ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes coming in as 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, it's I hate to do it because I'd want to see Iowa State win that one, but I'm going to take Iowa just because it's at Kinnick.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's tough to really get a gauge of how good Iowa's offense really is. I think the defense,
Mhm.
no doubt, is good. I am going to take Iowa at home as well. I think they can cover the field goal there. All right, moving right along with a Big Ten, future Big Ten opponent here, an in-state school, Western Michigan Broncos traveling to Columbus to take on the second-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State coming in as a big favorite in this one with giving 38 points.
Yeah, why not? I'll go with the Broncos in that one. Obviously, Ohio State's going to win, but 38 points, I'll take it that way.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. Nikki's taking Ohio State in this one. I'm going to take Ohio State as well. I'm not going to let that line scare me. I think they'll take care of business.
Yeah. I'm not scared, just
home.
taking a shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Why not? All right, next one, we got our only other ranked game this week. We have 14th ranked Tennessee Volunteers traveling to NC State to take on the Wolfpack. Tennessee is favored by 8.5. NC State ranked 24th. Tennessee ranked 14th.
Based on what I saw last weekend, I'm going with Tennessee.
Yep, I'm going to do the same. I think that line probably has that baked in a little bit, but
yeah,
I'm going to take the Volunteers here. Nikki is taking Tennessee as well. All right, moving down the line here, another Big Ten future opponent for Michigan State. The 7th-ranked Oregon Ducks are hosting the Boise State Broncos. Oregon will be favored by 19.5.
Damn. I mean, that's a good Boise team. If you see what Ashton Jeanty did last week. I'm going to take Oregon. Why not? They struggled a little bit, but hey, get off the schneid.
Yeah, I think it's a good bounce back game here for Oregon. Get up for a bigger opponent. I'm going to take Oregon as well with the points or laying the points. And Nikki is going to follow suit and also take Oregon. All right, one of your games that you called out, Travis, the BYU Cougars traveling to SMU to take on the Mustangs. The Mustangs are coming in as 11.5-point favorites.
I haven't seen anything from BYU this year, so I'm just going to roll with my Mustangs.
All right. Nikki is going to do the same. BYU, I feel like always is a tough out. I'm going to take BYU to cover the 11.5 points. I think SMU gets the job done, but BYU covers the spread. Going to the shores of Lake Michigan for a matchup of the nerds. Duke travels to Northwestern in their temporary stadium. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's cool. I saw the tweets.
It's the only
People
stadium I've ever seen
FOMO.
that has
Yeah.
more. I get it's temporary, but it has more seats in the end zones than it does on the sidelines.
Yeah.
But it looks, pretty cool for a temporary stadium. I think they did a nice job.
Yeah, for sure.
Duke traveling to Northwestern. Northwestern is favored by 2.5.
That surprises me, just because Duke has. I mean, I know they got a new coach, but they got so many transfers from big schools and it's Northwestern. So I'm gonna go Duke.
All right, I like it. I am going to follow the Big Ten team here. I'll go Northwestern. Nick is going with Northwestern as well. The next game takes us to an ACC Big 12 matchup. I think this is actually somewhat of a rivalry game. The Pitt Panthers travel to Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati is favored in this one by 1.5.
I know nothing about those teams this year, so sure, I'll go Cincinnati. Why not?
Yeah, Nick is taking Cincy as well. I am also taking Cincinnati. I feel like, I love Pat Narduzzi, but that Pitt program has been trending downward a little bit. I think Cincinnati is going to win. we can cover the spread there. Another team you mentioned here for our 11th game. We've got the South Carolina Gamecocks taking on the Kentucky Wildcats. This game is played in Kentucky. Kentucky is favored by 10.
Yeah, I'll go Wildcats. Why not?
All right. Nikki also taking the Kentucky Wildcats, and I'm going to do the same based off nothing other than the South Carolina performance this past week.
Yeah, really.
All right. That brings us to our game of the week, of course. The Michigan State Spartans travel to College Park, Maryland, to take on the Maryland Terrapins. Both teams coming off wins in their first game. Obviously, the Big Ten opener for both teams here. Maryland coming off a convincing win, 50-7 over UConn. Michigan State coming off a less convincing win over the FAU Owls, 16-10. Let's go start with you, Travis. Give me the prediction. Maryland's favored by 8.5. Prediction for your pick, I should say, and then score prediction.
Yeah, so I mean, I wish we were going to Annapolis and we'd be playing a much easier Navy team. But I am going to take the Spartans in this one, 28-24.
All right, I like that. I think it's a strong pick. Nikki, of course, will be taking MSU as well. He's got MSU 26, Maryland 17. I'm going to follow suit with you guys. I'm going to take MSU. Nikki, at the beginning of the season, I picked this game as a win, and I know Nikki would want me to pick this as a win as well. So I'll take the score at MSU 24, Maryland 20. There you have it, folks.
Solid.
So big one for the Spartans this week. Hopefully we will be back to record a recap of the game, hopefully coming off a win. I don't know when we'll do that. That will be obviously we'll be in Dallas for Nick's wedding, so it may be a Sunday night type deal or more likely Monday, depending on what Nick's schedule looks like and how we want to do things. But that is all for me and Travis. Wish you all the best. Obviously, Spartans Savants. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you find your podcasts. Shout out to the College Huddle. And with that, go green.
Go white.